that whatever business that we do, we're able to ensure we take the right steps in growing those businesses. Without understanding of the markets where we play in, without understanding of the different forces at work and the different things that can impact what we do, many times we make mistakes. Many times we're not able to strategically plan and make the necessary, take the necessary actions that we need to take in order to ensure that our business continues to grow. And today we'll be kicking off this 10 weeks journey with understanding your market. And I'm looking forward to an exciting conversation with everyone. We'll have about an hour of sharing by the facilitator. And then after that, we'll take questions and answers for about 20 minutes. And then we'll call it a night. All right. And I believe that every one of us as well are joining in on the Google Classroom, because that's where we'll have assignments. That was where we'll have quizzes that comes as a result of this class. And it's from the scores we get on that Google Classroom that we're able to like certify and say you have attended this training, and you can get a certificate for doing so as well. So let's just take note of those key things as we journey along. All right, I want to ensure that we make the most of this evening. So I'll just go ahead and introduce a dear friend who is in the room today. And like I shared last week, Lanre has had an amazing career so far. He's been head of brands and marketing at System Specs, and then from there he was head of marketing at Seedmark Technologies. From there he was country business and marketing officer at Cellulant, and today he's the head of mobile financial services at Interswitch. So it's going to be a powerful conversation. I'm excited to have Lanre in the room, and I know that we're going to have an amazing time of learning and sharing. Lanre, welcome this evening. It's good to have you. You can share your slides as well. So I think you have control to do that as well. Good evening, Lanre. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Good evening, Wale, and good evening, everybody.
Welcome. All right, so I'll just leave you to it.
You can see my slide?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yeah. Allow me just do the honors. Boss, Adela Kiavit, good evening. Good to see you again. It's been a while now, but it's nice to be speaking where you are sat.
Thank God.
Good evening, sir.
Well done. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Also, Wale, I want to thank you for the invite. I mean, it's exciting for me to talk or share some of the ideas that I have. Some of them are downright funny. Others are a fair few different from some of the ideas that people have. And some of them are not so different. It's just a reiteration of most of the ideas that some of us know. So today, while we'll be learning, I think some of the biggest learnings for very many of us is just a reminder of some of the things that we already know. Sharing again some of the ideas that we've been taught, reminding ourselves of how truths really never fade and why we should stay stuck on them, because it is when you continue to believe and continue to act on those things that are true that you get the benefits. Like I said earlier, is a thrill for me. More importantly, I mean, now I'm considering it an honor to be speaking in front of Adeolu. I've known him for quite some bit now, I think 14 years or thereabout. And I mean, just to know that you're in the room, I didn't know. If I knew, I probably would agree to do much more than speak. So I'm happy to be here. Just so I'm going to try to be a bit more engaging. Are there people in the room? Do we have a chat window where we can just see that people can hear me, they can see my slide? It would be nice to know.
There's a chat window.
Yeah, is there a chat window for us to know that, I mean, yes, just a box for us to know that they are, I mean, they can see me and we're engaged together?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a box where they are saying yes, 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 we can see you. So you can see the box.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can see. Now, for like an hour in between what I'm trying to share. But I mean, I don't want you to be distracted about the story. It's just because when I speak, I see that people are more interested in following a story much more than new concepts. So the whole idea of the story is to get you grounded in some of the concepts I'm sharing. I hope that you'll be able to find some resonance with the ideas. Like Wale shared, today we're talking about driving growth in your business, and I put together a couple of slides. So let me quickly run through. All right, so I'm gonna flip through. Sorry, trying to flip. Yeah. So the place to start really is growth. I mean, if you are asking what growth is, it means many things. While I was preparing my notes, one of the first things I went to do was to, go to Google to sort of substantiate my understanding of that. And I mean, Google, if you asked Google right now, I have a Google assistant in my house. My son is such a wonderful friend of the assistant. I mean, if you are asking Google now what growth is, I think he's going to tell you what exactly he told me, which is that when you increase in size and stature, I mean, you're growing as a person. I suspect that the whole concept of growth in business would be a bit different. It goes beyond growing in size and stature. And so let's establish first that growth means that you are expanding or enlarging in size and stature. So maybe the question will now be, what exactly is business growth, or what does growth in business mean? It could be one of many things. As a matter of fact, it could be all of many things. It could be some of many things. I was able to take a few highlights from Google also. I mean, business growth could be that you are growing in revenues. For very many people, this is what they think growth is. And it's fine. I mean, growing your revenues is cool. First, because for very many of us, we're in business because we want to earn. And when you are growing your earnings, you seem to think that you're growing. Now, the truth is, there's a book that I read. I'm going to try to remember the book just so I can reference the book for you lot to read. And I'm a very voracious reader. I think that if you are reading, you're learning a lot. I'll try to remember the name of the book. But the essence is, I remember a quote by the author that says that, do you know why big companies die? They die when their revenues die, when they become illiquid, when they are no longer making money, because money is at the core of company operations. And so for very many people, growing revenues is their best evidence of growth. Now, that is not a lie. That's true. That's why I put it there first, just so you know that I'm agreeing with that assumption. If you're making that assumption. For some other person, it's sales. I mean, if you are selling 5 bags today, I have a lady friend, I hope she's in the room. She's one of my proteges, and she just started a business. I mean, imagine you are selling 10 bags today, and in 6 months, you are selling 60 bags. To you, I mean, it could be actually, you will consider that to be growth, and you won't be lying, really. Increase in sales, increase in size and stature of your sales, definitely would be growth. The other bit is company value, which for many entrepreneurs and for very many of us in Nigeria, we are not particularly conversant with the whole concept of business valuation or company valuation or brand valuation. Now, for people who are... Hello?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Okay. Yeah, so for many of us, or for any of us who is in the business of investor-backed businesses, you would understand that company value is very critical. I mean, before an investor, I mean, maybe a VC, puts their money into, I mean, by VC, I mean venture capitalists, before they put their money into your company, one of the things they'll be considering is what's the value? Okay, what's the book value? What's the brand value and the likes? And the truth is, when your company value starts to grow, it represents a form of growth. The next, of course, is profit. I'm sure many of us today now, we know the difference between revenue and profit. Revenue is everything. Profit is when you net off all of your cost and all. So when your profit is growing, your revenues might not necessarily be growing so much, but if you are dropping down cost and you are running more efficiently, you realize that profit can actually be growing. And when profit is growing, of course, that's an evidence of growth. And for many of us, particularly entrepreneurs, many of us that started with a one-man shop, okay, the more your number of employees, the more the number of people you have to pay, I mean, you consider it growth. My first business was started exactly 10, 11 years ago. And the day I made my first recruitment was when I lost my sense of happiness, because now I have to start thinking of how I was going to pay the guy's salary at the end of the month. That was when I realized that having too many public holidays in a month is actually a reason for heartbreak, okay? I realized that public holidays are only good for employees. They're actually bad news for employers. But the truth is, for very many of us that are entrepreneurs, I mean, one man, sole proprietor, the day you employ your first staff, I mean, some of us will count that as growth. And sincerely, you won't be lying. That really is an evidence of growth. And maybe the last one is numbers of customers. For many business, in fact, the essence of business is to serve customers. And if you are serving 3 customers today and you're serving 30 tomorrow, I mean, that is growth. You can't deny that. The facts don't lie. That's what we hear. So just as you see on this dashboard, very many things can represent growth in business. Unlike in a human life where you just need to grow by age and grow in size, in an organization or in a company or in business, very many things can reflect growth, and I'm sure you've been able to see. So quickly, let me flip through. Like I said, I have an hour and I'm racing against time. Now, to achieve growth, I've gone 15 minutes. To achieve growth, there are different stages. I'm sure you'll be able to see this online because I did some bit of research myself just preparing for this class. So this shouldn't be strange. But let me just talk through this so you can understand some bit. There's a framework for understanding what business growth is. And this is one of the frameworks that I saw that I absolutely believe in because this represents some of my own experiences. That there are 5 stages of business growth. The first one is developmental stage where you're just conceptualizing, you are thinking through, you're putting ideas on paper, you're talking to people, you are sampling. For some people, you can, I'll share some story. Sometime in 2015, I do a lot of business consulting, business strategy consulting. And so sometime in 2015, I had one of my mentors call me and said, Lanre, there's some guys who would like to get into oil and gas. Can you help us work with them? I was super excited. So I said, of course I was. I mean, as of 2015, I was in full-time employee at Remita System Specs, but I was happy to take on this consulting job. So I had a meeting in Ikoyi. I went for the meeting. It was a nice posh place where we had the meeting. I realized that it wasn't really oil and gas. It was actually cooking gas, LPG. My expectation dropped, but it got interesting. The guys, they're 3 brothers. One of them lived in Lagos. One of them lived in Paris. And the third lived in the States. The 3 of them wanted to get into LPG business. They wanted to do it massively. And they wanted somebody to go and do market validation of the LPG market space. So I told them that I was going to work on the project for about 10 to 12 weeks. What I was going to do was going to do deep research just to be able to validate the opportunities therein. I was going to sample the market. I was going to size the market. I was going to do projections for them of what the business looked like before they got into it. Now, these 3 brothers wanted to get into a business, but when they engaged me, they were right in the middle of the developmental stage, which was a stage of validating, talking. You'll see a slide that better represents that. Now, immediately after that stage, when you get into the business itself, we consider that the startup stage. In technology, I mean, I've been in technology now about 12, 13 years. And in technology, we typically call this stage the bootstrap stage, where whatever the idea, now that you have validated that the idea can work, you are bootstrapping it maybe on a laptop, in your house, in your bedroom. I'm having this session in one of my rooms, actually. You are likely bootstrapping the idea. Now, this is the stage where they call you a startup. A startup is just the stage where you start up the business. You are testing up the idea. The mistake very many people make, and I made this mistake also in 2010 when I registered my business, was you miss the startup stage. You assume that you're in the growth stage. So even though I was starting up a business, I actually rented an office, a co-working office in Adeni Jones. Now, this was a guy who was near flat broke. I just resigned my job because I was starting a business. I mean, I'd listened to Adeolu Akinyemi for quite a couple of times. He was always training us then in Daystar, and I attended a few other trainings. I made some money, and I just rented an office. Mind you, silly me, I was living in a Butemeta, but I rented an office in Adeni Jones. It didn't occur to me that I was going to be buying fuel to get to this office. Even though I was in the startup stage, there was no need for me to make all of the investment I was making, but I did. And I mean, thank God I failed in a good way. But back to this concept of what this stage is. This stage is when you now begin to implement or try out the ideas that you validated in the developmental stage. The growth stage now is when you begin to expand. Now, not only have you validated your concept, but now you're expanding. You are putting more people into the business. You are putting mature processes into the business. And now you are growing. You are growing. You are gaining customer confidence. You are building a brand. You are in the growth stage. After the growth stage, now you want to expand. You want to expand into new territories. You possibly want to expand into new segments. You want to expand to serve new customer base. Now, that is what we'll call the expansion stage. The last one is what we'll call the maturity stage. I'll talk some bit about that just before I flip the slide. Now, for very many of you, some of us might actually be fitness enthusiasts. I tried so hard. I mean, if you know me, you realize that, I mean, I'm just not, it looks like this fitness thing doesn't align with my destiny. But let me talk some bit about some of the interesting language I heard when I was trying to be a fitness buff. I went to the gym then, and there was a lot of talk. Because I don't have a lot of flesh, I mean, I just naturally believe that I'm a fit guy. Forgetting that fitness is not just you not having flesh. Fitness is all about recovery. And so the gym guy told us that the best way to understand the guy who is fit is to know about how exactly he recovers. So if you give somebody who has who is fit, tell him to do maybe 50 push-ups, and another guy who is not fit to do the same 50 push-ups. The truth is that both of them might actually be able to complete the 50 push-ups, but the guy who is fit will quickly recover his breathing sequence better than the guy who is not fit. So the guy who is not fit, even though he completes the 50 push-ups, you see him panting like maybe a pig or something. And so the guy said the best way to identify the guy who is fit is exactly how he recovers. It's the same with maturity. So maturity essentially is how a company is robust and resilient enough to deal with the bad times. And so what do you call mature companies? Companies that have gone through different phases of recessions, depressions. They've gone through different global recessions, and they've been able to, they've been able to go through it, and now they are more resilient. I mean, companies like Coca-Cola, companies like Microsoft, we've seen them go through different phases, and now we can consider them to be mature corporations. I mean, the book I was talking about earlier was written by Jim Collins. And one of the things he did is that by his own definition of mature companies are companies who've been around for 50 years. Because in his mind, you needed to have been around for 50 years to have gone through different circles of leadership, different circles of global boom and bust before he considers you to be a mature operation. I'll quickly flip through so you can understand. Like I said, in the development stage, you are just dealing with concepts. A product idea, you are trying to validate a need in the market. You don't know, so you are trying. You are checking, you are doing your business plan and the likes. That's actually a stage in business. The truth is, you might actually be in a job. You might actually be in another business. But immediately you start conceptualizing the idea of your business has started, and you're in a phase of growth. You've gone from having the idea in your mind, you've gone from seeing the ideas in your dream, you're now conceptualizing it. That's the developmental stage. I hope you're seeing my flip, please.
Yes, we are.
All right. Okay, cool. So the next stage, which I explained also, is the startup stage. For some people, is raising the initial funds. And I'm sure some of the things we all do, family and friends, we run to them, hey, guy, this idea is going to take me 250,000. I already have 70,000. Help me. So somebody gives you 30K. Another person gives you 20K. Yeah. For some other person, you are hiring staff. For some other person, you start managing expectations. Okay. Who do I sell to first? How do I talk to the first person and all that? For some other people, you are establishing the customer base. I need to sell to this people, family and friend. A friend of mine his business base is actually laundry, but a Launders is actually an after-event laundry company. And he makes a lot of money. He's been in the business for about 11 years. So COVID happened. I mean, the last 3 months, he has not been able to get a single job since the shutdown. So I told him, hey, guy, I mean, if you are waiting that events are going to pick up, the truth is events might not pick up in the next couple of months. So why don't you, for now, leave event laundry and go into, regular laundry where you launder shirts for people. For very many of us, myself included, I've not worn my office shirt for many months because there was lockdown. But since May, when the lockdown was lifted, we've been going to the offices. During the lockdown, the only piece of shirt I was wearing was my polos, my indoor polos and my t-shirts. So, I don't take those to the laundry because I have a washing machine at home. I just dump it in the washing machine. But immediately, the lockdown was lifted and people have started going to the office. There's an opportunity for him. So, guess what? Managing expectations of sales and cash reserve is actually the startup stage. So, he now is actually getting into the startup stage of another business entirely where he's identified his customers, and I was one of his customers. I gave him some of my office share. He started making money, and that is good. All right? Establishing customer base and market presence, and of course, managing the accounts. The growth stage, like I explained, is now you are dealing with increasing customers. Okay, you are trying to put in processes that helps to streamline your operations. When you used to call 3 people to buy from you in the startup stage, now you have 30 people. You are in the growth stage. So how do you talk to them? Instead of calling them every day, you have to find a way to streamline operation. You have to deal with competition. People realize that, oh, there's a new laundry guy in town. He's going to take my business. You have to find a way to deal with them. So you need to start conceptualizing how you deal with your own customer base so that you can protect your pies away from your competition. And of course, now you have to increase profits, okay? Some of us in the room, I suspect we're in the growth stage. The real reason why we're in this session is how to further consolidate that growth so that we don't regress. The next one, like I talked about, the expansion stage, you now have to expand to different segments. You have increasing competition. You are acquiring some of your competition. This is where we talk about mergers and acquisition. You are expanding your base. I mean, most of us were around when that happened with Access Bank and Intercontinental. And I mean, more recently, it happened with Access Bank again and Diamond Bank. That is going to keep happening. It happens a lot in banking, but it happens in different industry, and it's going to keep happening. For very many companies that are bullish about their growth, they think, I mean, why do I have to go build a new business in a new segment? Why don't I just acquire? You can acquire. I mean, for some others, why don't I merge with this guy? This guy is going to serve that side of the market. I will serve this side of the market. And when we bring our forces together, we're going to be able to do more. You can acquire, okay? For some others, it's just acquiring the stock of a competition or getting others to acquire your stock. And this is interesting because for very many of us in Africa, this is where our companies start to fail. I was watching the video of Kola Abiola, his interview last year about June 12th. And one of the questions he was asked was that, see, when your dad was around, it was a behemoth of a person. I mean, the Abiola Enterprises they had their hands in so many cookie pies in different segments of the economy. Abiola of the 90s, 80s and 90s is actually the Dangotes of the 2000s. In fact, Abiola had his hands in many cookie pie or many cookie jar than Dangote. He was everywhere. So he was being asked, I mean, what happened? How come Abiola, that was the pinnacle of entrepreneurial success, of capitalistic expansion, how is it that 5-10 years after his death, I mean, we couldn't see Abiola in many places? Of course, he gave some interesting responses, but I don't want to get into the politics of it. The real crux of why I referenced that Abiola example is because this is where many enterprises fail in our country, in our culture, where you need to expand, where you consolidate your growth. This is where because one of the reasons is our culture. We generally like to keep things to ourselves. I mean, I was at an event last year, May, where I was speaking bullishly about our African culture. I mean, you know, this culture of is me and my son. It happens a lot. I remember when I was in secondary school, some of the buses, so some of the transport options were, just reminding them now brings smiles to me. I don't know how many of you remember Alaji Salisu Adamu and Sons. I don't know how many of you remember Ekene Dilichuku and Sons. Okay, we are like that. It's not just, some people say it comically and they say, oh, it happens very well in the East. It's not just in the East. It happens in the West and in the North of the country. That's our culture. We like to celebrate and keep things within ourselves. And some people say maybe that is why Dangote will survive. And Abiola didn't survive in those days because Dangote now is institutionalizing his success, which wasn't readily happening then. I mean, Abiola sort of owned and sort of personalized some of the successes he had then. And so when he got into a political quagmire, it was difficult. But here, for very many of us in Africa, this is where we missed it. Okay, we experience growth, but now when we need to expand and divest and de-risk, we sort of stumble in this space. And the last one is maturity. I mean, I'm sorry if you feel offended, but I attend this Christian Center, and one of the things that my pastor used to talk about is how many Nigerian companies have lived to be 100 years. I mean, how many really indigenous Nigerian companies have lived to be 100 years? I mean, does it mean that Nigerians didn't own businesses in 1900? Of course they did. It's just that after the progenitor died, after the main guy died, the business likely died. Or maybe he had a lot of kids and they just divided the stuff. They bought houses and they just lived large. The truth is very many of our companies, even those that grew and some of them that went into expansion stage, This is something we have not seen in our country. And it is not a hit on very many of us. There must be very many reasons why this is so. I mean, even me, some of it goes beyond my understanding, but this is true. We have not seen many Nigerian operations, I mean, gone through different stages of maturity. I mean, today, many of us reference Dangote as the biggest enterprise in Africa. And that is true. Biggest indigenous enterprise in Africa, that is true. But if you read the story of Dangote, you realize that Dangote was actually started up in his business by his uncle. I think his name was, or his name is Dan Tata, I think. I'm not very sure now. The question is, where is Dan Tata today? I mean, Dan Tata was maybe the biggest capitalist in his days in the north. Today, we've not seen his enterprise experience that level of growth and expansion, because after Dan Tata died and maybe his first generation died, I mean, people just divvied up the business, and we've not seen the level of growth and expansion, unlike what we've seen in other climes. Let's quickly continue so I can work within time. It is now undeniable, therefore, that growth means different things. I mean, that is one. Secondly, there are different phases of growth. So the question now is, what are the things that drives growth? I mean, what can make an organization move from phase 1 to phase 2? What can empower an organization to move from phase 2 to phase 3? From growth to expansion, from expansion to maturity. What are those factors that drive growth? You know, that's what we're talking about today. I mean, I don't know where your own current business is, but the question is, what are those elements within your business today that will help you drive growth? So I was able to identify 5 in my research, and I've had this experience in my own life also. I mean, I've started a few businesses. Quite a lot of them now are dead today, but it's interesting because even though some of those businesses have gone through different stages of growth, these are the elements that drove the growth. I'm going to use example. I always tell people this when I go for my trainings. The most valuable resource in the world are people. I mean, there's nothing in the world as valuable as human being. Not gold. I mean, today a bar of gold, I don't know, maybe it's only God knows how many thousands of dollars a bar of gold is worth, or a barrel of crude oil. I mean, and today, I mean, like I said, I'm in technology. Today, one of the things we say is that data is the new gold. Hey, that is true. But data or crude oil or gold, none of them will be as valuable as people. The most valuable resource you would ever have in your business are people. Now, these people could represent themselves in different things. They could be your partner, somebody who you are thinking with, somebody who you're planning with. They could be your employees, somebody who helps to bring to life the dreams in your heart, somebody who helps to expand. I mean, I was telling a couple of my friends in the week, I said, if it is work, I think I'm going to work myself to breaking down. There's some people like myself that don't know when to stop, that work 18, 20 hours in a day. There are actually people like that. I mean, today I've had the most impossible day. I had to take some of my family members to the hospital, but I've spent maybe the last 7, 8 hours working. And today is a Saturday. There's some people like that. God blesses you with the right employees. I mean, I'm using a lot of God bless you, but the truth is there's some skill to getting the right employees, getting the right people on board. But if God really blesses you with the right employee, I mean, even when all of the other drivers of growth are not there, you'll be able to move to the next level. Almost always this happens. So that's what I'm saying. The first and perhaps the most crucial element, the most crucial piece of the growth question is people. So you need to find the right people to join you on your growth journey. It could actually be employees, they could be investors, they could be mentors, they could be the board of directors, but people are actually crucial to your growth aspirations. The next one is strategy. I was telling a few of my friends, I mean, I've been in marketing now about 7, 8 years. I've been in leadership position in marketing. Today, I'm back to business, actually. I work now into Switch, but what I really would like to do is to get into strategy. Strategy essentially is, it sort of aligns with my strength. But you know, strategy feels like one big grammar. What really is strategy? I mean, let's forget the grammar. Strategy essentially is getting there faster, better, easier. Shikena. That's what it is. Strategy is getting there, whatever there is, faster, easier, better. And so, if you are able to put together the best, most effective strategy, you are going to get there better than others, inevitably. You're going to get there faster than others, inevitably. You're going to get there easier than others. It means that even though the market opportunities are getting slimmer, it means that even though competition is rife, it means that even though the market dynamics, the economy might not be at its best, if you've put together the right strategy, you're still able to thrive in very testing circumstances. I mean, if I asked you why you think Coca-Cola has lasted since the 1920s, I mean, almost 100 years, definitely it's not just because of their people. There's a whole lot of strategy those people put together. And I've worked even closer with them. I mean, even with their Atlanta team in recent past, and I realized they put together some of the best strategies. And that is true for those companies that have succeeded over the last how many years. So putting together the right strategy really is going to help you thrive. And you need to figure that out. All right? Now, strategy is not enough, my people. The next one are processes. I was in a very testing call this morning. Like I said, I've been working for maybe the last 8 hours. But, I mean, one of those work I was doing was I was in a very tense call with my team. I have a team of about 40 people across different parts of the world. Some of them are not in the country. Some of them are in Europe. Some of them are in Far Asia. Some of them are in Abuja. But I was talking with one of their leadership, and I was saying, you know what? I think we need to improve our processes. I mean, imagine working with a team spread around different corners of the world. How do you run that team effectively if you don't have mature processes? I mean, somebody in Germany can be working on A, another person in Abuja can be working on C, another person in India can be working on Roman figure 8. So if your processes are not mature, if your processes are not efficient, if your processes are not advancing your growth aspirations, I mean, it will be difficult for you to grow. So as you explore growth, as you desire growth, as you continue to expand and grow, you need to constantly and continuously think and rethink your processes. Your processes need to work and align with your growth aspirations. That is the only way you're going to be able to move near the aspirations that you have. Aside from processes, my brother and sister, funding, okay? Money is serious, very serious, very crucial. One of the things that account for growth is funding. And today, there's no sector in Nigeria that has experienced this accelerated growth like technology. I mean, like I said, I've been in technology for 12 years. I've been in marketing I've been in senior marketing roles in the last 7-8 years. And if you've been in and around technology in Nigeria, what we have been advocating, I mean, for the last 12 years, I've been in technology, is indigenous software solutions. For some of you, you probably know it. Like I said, I worked in System Spectrometer, which was the clear leading indigenous technology company in Nigeria. I mean, so we used to advocate a lot of indigenous technology. We like to own the language. We like to say that we are #1 indigenous company. The truth is, in the last 3-4 years, the leading technology companies in Nigeria have received funding from outside the country. I mean, venture capitalist funding from Silicon Valley and the world. And so you realize that companies that were ideas 3-4 years ago, they are now the leading players in Nigeria because they received good funding. I mean, who knew what Paystar worked 5 years ago? Who was Paystar? Who was Team Apt? Who was Cellulant 5-10 years ago? But this company received, on some of them, tens of millions of dollars, some of them hundreds of millions of dollars. Like I said, I work in InterSwitch, and if you are anywhere near conversant with the news, you will know that even InterSwitch, my company, got funding partnership up to $200 million from Visa last year. I mean, that's exciting, right? So Nigerian technology industry is receiving a lot of funding from outside that is giving it a lot of leverage. I mean, who knew what OPay was 3 years ago? But hey, in a couple of months, OPay got about $100 million, and they expanded. They bought Okada like it was running out of fashion. Okay, they gave discounts that were that were killing. I mean, the local players readily couldn't play. They couldn't compete anymore because they were competing with a guy who received funding from China. So a lot of funding gives you the leeway, the lever to be able to compete, to play big, to become bigger than you used to. And so funding is crucial, okay? How you get funding, how you access funding is another question entirely. But I want you to know that funding is crucial. And the last one, okay, the last lever, the last driver for business growth is the market. If you're a Yoruba like myself, and I mean, when you were growing up, you used to watch a lot of all those funny movies of my tribe. I mean, I will call the market the juju. The market is what I'll call like Abijah. The market is the main deal, man. If the market forces works in your favor, if the market dynamic works in your favor, you are likely going to be able to grow. I mean, I'll give some example before I quickly flip. Many years ago, the biggest player in Nigeria's economy were the FMCG companies, the Unilever, the PZ, the Cadbury's. So some years ago, I met with some guy who had worked in one of those companies for 25 years. I don't want to mention because some of you might actually be smart enough to know who I'm talking about. The guy's worked for 25 years. So I met with him and he was telling me that he said, you know what? Some of the money you people are making in a month is what we used to make in a whole year. Today, many people still think that the Unilevers of this world, the Cadbury of this world, the PZ are some of the biggest companies in Nigeria. Nah, that's not true. Even though they try to serve a market that is actually wide, I mean, how many people use close up in Nigeria? Only God can, I mean, only God and data knows that, right? But the truth is, the dynamic, the market dynamic in technology has so radicalized the landscape that technology companies are able to promise and deliver better growth rates than people in FMCGs. I mean, in FMCGs, they have to deal with issues of people, labor, and all that, labor union, salary, payroll, and the likes. They need to deal with machinery, plants, and all. They need to deal with a lot of dynamics that is crazy. Unlike people who work in technology, they just need to tweak one technology to the other. They're making millions and billions. Okay? I mean, I was in Remita when there was a radical change. We used to do numbers about maybe 5 billion annually. And in about 18 months, we're doing 15, 20 billion. I'm not sure there's any segment of the economy that will be turning those numbers in 12, 18 months. I mean, that is not likely. Maybe practically impossible in some instances. But the truth is, if the market dynamic and the market forces works in your favor, you're able to promise and deliver numbers that many others may not deliver in their lifetime. I flip. So now let's talk about understanding your market. If you remember, okay, I have about 20 more minutes. I hope I'm able to squeeze in it. The reason or the focus of my session today is really, really understanding your market. So in another way, what I'm trying to say is this is really, really where my slide really starts. This is where you need to focus more than you focus since I started. All right? Understanding your market. Remember, maybe I should go back just one slide. Let me go back just one slide. Remember, the drivers of business growth, there are 5 of them. The last one that I mentioned there is the market. Now let's focus on that market because that's what matters to me today. I mean, somebody can focus on people. One of the elements is people, and somebody can take the session. I mean, I'm not going to bother myself with that. Somebody can focus on strategy, and business strategy is a big deal. I'm not going to focus on that. Another person can talk about processes. Another person can talk about raising funds. That's not my job today. My job is helping you to understand the market, okay? And how you can use the market to drive business growth. So let's go there. Understanding your markets. The first job that any entrepreneur that wants to go far needs to do is to understand the whole concept of pestle. I mean, some people call it pestle, but I mean, what I know it as is pestle. But it's the same acronym. Essentially, it's an acronym that reads P-E-S-T-L-E. Some people spell it as P-E-S-T-E-L, but let me just focus on a bit here and sort of run you through the whole concept. Pestle essentially is understanding, having a 360-degree view of the market and how the elements of the market influences or affect your business. Now, if you are not able to do your pestle analysis of what your market is, I promise you, you might be prospering today. You might be making a lot of revenues today. You might be recording interesting profit today. But when the market dynamics affect you, your market will not be there anymore. So let me give an example. You know, I told you about my friend who has a business. He's been in the business for 11 years. He's in the business of laundry. Okay? The day the lockdown was announced, my friend has not made 1 naira for 4 or 5 months. He's my friend, my very good friend. He's like my brother. As a matter of fact, he's in my sitting room right now. I'm taking this training. He's my friend. Okay? So what happened? The truth is, even though he was actually in a very profitable business, even though he was really, really having fun in the business, the truth is the dynamics of the business rapidly changed in a very short period. Now, many people will say, oh, they lost money when there was lockdown. If you are paying attention to the market, you realize that the lockdown did not just start by the end of March. Everybody knew that the lockdown was coming from December. I mean, China started their lockdown in January, December, January. Okay. But so one of the critical elements every entrepreneur or business owner or business leader needs to pay attention to is person. So quickly, let's talk about it. Okay. Now, the first P, of course, is politics. Okay. The political environment. The political environment. And you need to pay attention to the political environment. I'll give an idea. There are so many segments of the economy that will die or will not be sustainable if they run afoul of the political environment. I'll give an example. Let me use technology. I don't know if you appreciate this example, but let me use technology. Like I said, I've been in technology and payment for some time. And up until 24 months ago, everybody in payment was making a killing. Okay? For every time you transferred any money from one account to the other, you pay 100 naira as transaction fee. I'm sure you guys know that, right? Let me see your comment. I just want to be sure I'm carrying people along. Just give me a second. Let me see the comment. I mean, how many of you remember 24 months ago when you make a transfer, you pay 100 naira, right? At least somebody, Oluwatobi said yes. Anybody else? Okay, yeah, cool. So you guys are there. Cool. Okay, so let me just go back to my presentation. Then suddenly CBN slept and woke up, and CBN said, you know what? You guys are collecting too much money, banks. For consumers to make transfers, they will start paying 50 naira, no longer 100 naira. This thing happened, I think, in the 2018 February. Guess what happened? All of us went to bed one night. The next morning we woke up, 50% of the line of our business was lost. You don't get? So you slept one night. When you woke up the next morning and the political powers that be, the government, immediately they say, guess what? Guys, you can no longer charge 100 naira. 50% of your business suddenly dies. So it means that you need to always focus on the political environment. And there are different dynamics there. It could be government policy. I'm just talking about policy now. Do you know that from 2018 till today, what banks charge for some transaction had reduced from 100 naira to actually 10 naira? Do you know that today some of you actually pay 10 naira? You actually pay 10 naira for transaction. The implication is that many technology companies, many financial technology companies, many payment companies have actually lost 90% of their payment business. That's what it means. So because of the political environment, 90% of business has been lost. And this thing happened in February 2018. That is just about 24, 26, or 27 months ago. So imagine somebody who was going to recruit a lot more people, somebody who was going to build a big company, somebody who has bought 500 cars because he has done projection that, if I'm growing the business like this, if I continue to collect 100 naira from people like this, the kind of wife I'm going to marry, and the extra girlfriend I'm going to get, and the big car. Okay, so CBN wake up and they start reducing costs. And there are even rumors today that they might actually bring down the cost to 5 naira. It means that some people will lose 95% of their business. That is rapid. And they're different. I mean, look at political stability. Today, how many of our friends have lost their job? Political decision to shut down the economy. How many companies have shut down? And it's not just in Nigeria, it's all around the world. So the political issues or the political consideration is big. So any business you are into or any segment that you're playing at, you need to focus. What are the political exigencies of that segment? The next one is economic. And the economic, that one go, it'd be like say even past the political considerations. Big deal, big ticket, right? The economic dynamics are different. I'll use Nigeria as an example. Today, the biggest earner in Nigeria is actually the government. The biggest earning power of the Nigerian government is actually crude oil. Today, crude oil is such a mess globally. I mean, sometime in April, was it April or May, crude oil actually went to -1. It actually went to minus rates. The global crude oil rate actually went to minus rates. It means that you have to actually pay people for them to even buy your products. Now, imagine what that means in Nigeria. There's so many people that have lost their job. Buying power of the people has more than halved. Their spending responsibility has gone up, higher than it used to be. I mean, any one of you that have job or businesses today, you actually have to pay more people at the end of the month than you used to. I mean, some of your cousins, some of your younger ones who were in different jobs and they've sacked now, you have to pay them more. So your spend has actually increased while your earnings have actually decreased. So what happens? It means that for very many of you that are in different businesses, if your business is not crucial, people are not going to be buying from you. I'll give an example. I have a driver. I mean, I used to live farther away. Now I live closer to there. I have a driver who drives me. And I mean, the guy has not driven me for 3 or 4 months because there's nowhere that I'm going anymore. There's a lockdown. I mean, I stay in my house. I work in this room. This is the room where I do all my work. I'm working on this table. So the guy has not worked for 4 months. I've paid him for 4 months. So I now told him, I said, oh boy, I can't continue to pay salary. I mean, even me, I'm sorry. But I told him, I've paid him for 4 months. It's not worked. I said, my guy, I'm sorry. So what can I do for you? The guy said, my Oga, you need to buy me a car. If you buy me a car and I use the car to drive, maybe that can help. Even me, I was thinking of the car before I realized that, oh boy, don't you get the new regulation? The new regulation said that you can't even carry more than 2 people at the back. How many years do you want to work by carrying 1 or 2 persons before you give me the money for the car? The truth is the economic situation, whole segment, all sectors of the economy. And so if you're not paying attention to the economic consideration, my brother, you have not started. The third one is social. Okay? Social. I mean, what are the social environment? What is happening? Population, of course. One of the reasons why people come to start their business in Lagos and not in Nasarawa is because the population in Lagos supports some business. Okay? So understanding age rate, age distribution, career choices, I mean, all of these things matter. Okay? You need to focus on them. Social dynamics applies a lot. There are some businesses you will start in Aja and they won't prosper. You need to go and start them in Agege. There's some business you are doing in VI. It won't work unless you start them in Ikorodu. And there's some business you're doing. I mean, think of starting a viewing center, football viewing center in Lekki Phase 1. Okay? I mean, the regular viewing center that we have in Agege. It won't work. So you need to understand the social dynamics supporting your business because that's the only way you are going to have to try. The next one, my brother and sister, technology. I mean, I was talking about this to my friend just yesterday. Many years ago, all you need to start a business is to have 10,000 and go and start a recharge card business. Today, technology has so radically revolutionized that business that, I mean, the business doesn't exist. Recharge card vending by the roadside is dead, literally dead. I mean, how many of you bought, when was the last time you bought recharge card or a paper recharge card? It doesn't happen anymore. Technology has so radically transformed that segment of the business that we all need to focus. What is technology saying? Level of innovation in our business. Today, whatever business it is you are in, that business might not be there tomorrow if technology radically changes it. So focus. What is happening? Have a 360-degree view. Of course, the last one is environmental. Oh, no, second to the last is environmental. Okay, things like weather, climate. I mean, the first time I went to the UK was when I realized that, even weather affects product. So when I went to the UK, I was unfortunate, my brothers and sisters. I was unfortunate to go to the UK. I think I went in late February or early March. And it was still right in the middle of their winter. I wanted to die. Not only did I want to die, it now occurred to me that just as here, you are actually trending and you are vibing if you have AC on. I mean, I have ACs all around my house. When I got into this house, in my foolishness, I'll put on ACs. Because in my former house, I did. I was in my foolishness. I'll put on the AC in the room, even if I wasn't there, until I realized, I couldn't survive. When I got to the UK, I realized that people pay for eating, house eating, car eating, or actually using ACs in Nigeria. So it occurred to me that environmental factors like weather can actually affect your business in different parts of the world. I mean, I lived in Jos in the 90s. I schooled in Jos all through the years. I mean, there were times when ice block will literally, huge ice block will literally be falling on our heads during rainy season. And we'll pick the ice block, we'll be drinking Gary with it. Imagine going to sell ACs in Jos when everywhere is already chill. So the environmental factors like climate, weather, and all all that can actually affect your business. The laws of the land, previously, the laws of the land can affect whatever it is you are doing. So you need to understand. Understanding your market, your first responsibility is to do a personal analysis. What is happening? What's the political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal framework surrounding the segment I'm getting into? Whatever it is that you do, including viewing center. Do you know how many companies died when Sanwo-Olu says that they should not ride Okada anymore in Lagos? Do you know how many people committed suicide in this Lagos? Because there's no job for them to do. Just because there was a legal pronouncement by the government. I mean, no, that was a policy pronouncement. But even that, you need to focus on what are the environmental issues. So the first job you have, do a personal analysis. And you don't need to do this by yourself. You can get experts and they can help you. Let me quickly run through the rest. Okay. Market sizing. And this is interesting, okay? If I hope some of you watch some of these interesting entrepreneurial shows online or on TV, Dragon's Den, and all of those shows. Now, in Dragon's Den, one of the things that you hear people talk about is, oh, my time is this, my Sam is this, my Som is this. I'm sure some of you have heard of Tam and Sam and Som, but let me talk about it. One of the things you need to do when you are speaking about the prospect or the potentials of your business, how long do I have? Hey, God, I have 5 minutes. Let me see how I can squeeze it in. Okay, I'm sorry. I've taken time trying to explain. So, now, one of the things you hear people talk about is market size. Now, why is market sizing important? It's because if you don't know the size of the market, you don't know how much you should. It is only when you know the potentials of the market, that is how you will know how well you should invest. I just told you about my driver who wanted to buy a car. He wanted to buy a car because he thought that, oh, everybody was still taking cabs. But it is until you understand the size of the market that you will know how well you should invest. Okay? TAM essentially is what is called total available market. I'll use an example. If you're in the business of food, for example, if you cook food, if you sell food, your total available market in Nigeria is 200 million Nigerians because everybody needs to eat. And so that is actually your potential universe. So you see people say that, oh, when they want to make peak, they'll say, Nigerians, there are 200 million Nigerians. They eat 3 times a day. So every day in Nigeria, we cook 600 million pieces of food. Yeah, that is good. But yes, okay, that is what TAM is. The second one is what we call SAM, serviceable available market. It means that even though you have a total available market of 200 million, because you are starting the business in Lagos now, serviceable available market is now 20 million because there are only 20 million Lagosian. So you can't be saying, I'm going to be servicing 200 million Nigerians. Your business is only opening shop in Lagos now, my brother. So serviceable available market is 20 million. I can't remember what SOM is. I mean, the acronym for SOM. They target the serviceable market that you really, really want to get out of that. So even though there are 20 million Lagosians, hello?
Obtainable.
Hello? Is somebody? Yeah, serviceable, obtainable market. God bless you. So serviceable, obtainable market says that this is the segment. So you say, even though there are 20 million Lagosians, I only want to get 0.5% of that. Okay? I hope you understand this. Yes, this is crucial because it helps you understand what is the potential of the market you are getting into. Even if you are selling recharge card, how many people buy a recharge card? How many am I able to sell to? And how many of them do I want to sell to on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly basis? I'll quickly flip through. The next thing you need to do is what we call competitive analysis. The truth is, it is very unlikely that you want to get into a segment that something currently is not available for. Even innovation business, when you are rapidly innovating, you are bringing innovative ideas or innovative services, there are still competition or competitive offerings. So you need to ask yourself, who are those main industry participants? What are they doing? Who is the number one? The number one leader in telco in Nigeria is MTN. And recently, we all heard that Globacom overtook Airtel to become second. The third is Airtel, and the fourth is Nine Mobile. We all know these things, okay? You need to focus attention and ask yourself, who are the main players in that space? The next one is you ask yourself, what product or services do they sell? The truth is, you might not want to sell
let's talk about you if you want to open a fast food joint. You ask yourself, who are the big players? And they're already big players. There's Chicken Republic, there's KFC, there's Tantala. There are different fast food joints. So you ask yourself, what are the things that they sell currently? Your understanding of their offering will help you to distinguish your own offering so that you can have an identity in the market. Okay. You can also ask yourself, what are the products or brands that are growing? What are the things that people buy? I mean, 20 years ago, the number one fast food joint in Nigeria was Mr. Biggs. And their iconic brand was meat pie. Everybody who went into Mr. Biggs, their first request was meat pie. Today, my son doesn't even understand what meat pie is. Because today, I mean, meat pie is not their number one pastry. I don't know. I mean, my son likes chicken pie, but he will never take meat pie. But me growing up, I mean, our number one pastry for people my age is meat pie. Because once upon a time, meat pie was the most innovative idea in the pastry business. Today, it might not be so, but you need to understand what is the number one product that people are buying and why. You need to be able to answer. The next question you need to ask is, what are their strengths and their weaknesses? Okay? Because it is when you understand their weakness that is where you can play your own strength. And when you understand their strength, there's no point going head to head with your enemy. You just need to understand his weakness and play on it. And the last thing is, ask yourself, what are the strategies that I can put to build my advantage? I'll quickly flip again because of the time. The truth is, when you are focusing on competition, remember they are actually indirect competition. I would like to explain this, but I've used up my time. I think my time is almost up. Okay, maybe I'll take another 5 or so minutes. The next thing you need to ask yourself is, who are the customers? Now, many people don't understand who the customers are. Some people assume the customer to be the consumer. Some people assume the customer to be the user. That is not true. I'll give an example. If your job or if you're in the business of making, if you say your customers are children who eat Indomie, of course not. A customer is the person who has the ability, the willingness to pay for your product. So even though children eat Indomie, have you seen a child, a 5-year-old child? I mean, I have a 5-year-old son who earns enough to buy Indomie. No. So you need to understand the difference between your customer, the consumers, and your user. I mean, and they vary. So you need to ask yourself, who is the customer? Okay. What really does the customer want to buy? At times, we think that the customer is buying a product when the customer is trying to buy an experience. A customer might actually be praying. I mean, why? There are actually hotels in my area. There are hotels in my area where you get a room, a good room, for 15,000, 20,000 per night. So why will a customer go to a hotel and pay 150,000 for a room?
Hello, Larry.
Somebody will think that could be a product when it's actually, yeah. Hello?
You can go ahead. You can go ahead. We lost you for a bit. You can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think we lost him now.
Yeah.
I think he dropped off the nets.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Lanre will be back shortly. Let's just give him a few minutes. Please, let's start compiling our questions. Once it rounds up, we'll... Okay, Larry is back. All right, we'll just allow you continue. Please, let's start compiling our questions, and then we'll take it once Larry is done. Thank you. I think we need to unmute Larry.
I'm looking for that. I think he has moved up. Yep, done.
Larry,
Okay.
you can.
Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks. So you need to ask yourself, I mean, what does the customer really want to buy? When does he want to buy it? Okay, where exactly does he want to buy it? How exactly does he want to pay? At what price? I mean, the best example I'll give you is football. I mean, if you're a football lover like myself, you will see some silly clubs, they're going to buy a player for 100 million. Silly clubs like Chelsea and Real Madrid. And some clubs really want to buy the same players for 15 million. The truth is, at what price? I remember many years ago, I used this in my upcoming book. I mean, in the note for my upcoming book. When Real Madrid wanted to sign a player called Gareth Bale, Tottenham said that the guy is going to be worth 100 million. Real Madrid said the guy is not worth 100 million. And Tottenham said that 100 million is actually the Real Madrid price. Because the truth is, if Real Madrid is buying, then the player is premium. So we're going to charge you premium. Now you need to ask yourself, what price is the customer willing to pay? I'll flip through. Next thing you need to do is you need to identify your different customer segment. Pay attention to this, okay? People don't know that there are actually different experiences, demographic experiences that influences the buying pattern of people. There is a way that women buy that is different from men. Like I told you, a younger friend of mine, who, even though she's selling female materials, she wants to sell female materials to male because she knows that male pay more for female materials. I mean, you need to understand, who is my customer? How exactly is he or she going to buy? How do I want to present my items to him? So what is the age? You need to be able to arrive at this dynamic, demographic dynamic of who your customer is. What's the age of my customer? Is he a man or a woman? Or, I mean, could he be any one of them? What is his educational level? Is it very, I mean, I belong to a brand and marketing group. And I mean, some weeks ago, we're arguing, how exactly should you create an advert? Or how exactly should you advertise a car, a new car? I mean, what is the educational level of my customer? Are they very smart? Do I want to be speaking a lot of grammar, or do I want to speak in pidgin? These things matter, my brothers. Okay? What is their income level? Does he earn a lot of money? Is he currently unemployed? Okay? It's like you now, if you have a viewing center. I mean, some of the people who come to the viewing center, they've lost their jobs. So how are you really going to present or offer your services such that you still be in business tomorrow? What's the occupation? Where does he live? And like I told you, find the moment you leave Obalende. Let me ask this and let me go back. I'm going to ask this and go to the comments. How many of you have noticed that the moment you leave Obalende, you will never see gala in traffic till you get to Ajah? Have you noticed that before? The last place you will see gala, if you are going to the island, is Obalende. The moment you leave Obalende, the next place you will see gala is actually Ajah. Now that matters, okay? Because the place of residence matters a lot. So if you are selling gala, you say you want to sell gala in Ikoyi, I mean, God bless you. You won't be getting anybody. Or you want to sell gala in traffic in Lekki, it's never going to happen. And the last one is, what is the lifestyle and values of your customer? I flip. Let me flip. Yeah. The second to the last thing I think I'll be talking about, or second or third to the last, is what motivates your customer. This is very interesting. So I'll allow you to ask so I can explain. But there's something called intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. And that's a lot of grammar, but let me just explain it. Intrinsic motivation is when a customer is motivated by something within him to buy your product. Okay? Extrinsic motivation is when a customer is motivated to buy your product because he wants to get something or because he wants to avoid something. Okay? So I'll use power, for example, light, NEPA. Okay? Intrinsic motivation is when you buy light because you like all your house to be bright. Extrinsic motivation is when you buy light because you don't want to be in the dark. You get the difference. So you need to understand what really are the motivations of your customer so that you can use that motivation to communicate and engage him. Remember, understanding your market is one of the reasons why you will grow or not. Pay attention. I'm going to flip. The last one in this concept is, after you have fully understood the market, then you can go to 4 Ps. I know for some of you here, you already understand what the 4 Ps of marketing mix is. Product, place. What is your product? What's the product that you are selling or your service? Where is the place that you are offering them? Okay. What are the promotions you need to do to communicate your product and at what price? Pay attention. Many people, when they want to start a business, they quickly go to the marketing mix. They quickly start with the product. Oh, this is what I want to sell. And that is not bad. This is how I want to sell it. This is where I want to sell it. But you need to understand that understanding your market is where you should start from. You will see that every one of those marketing mix is actually pointing to the target market. When you understand your target market, it would inform how you design your product. When you understand the market, it would inform where exactly and how exactly you sell. When you core of that understanding is what influences the last. Finally,
I think we lost him again.
Yeah.
He's back.
Larry, are you there?
okay. Yeah, I'm here. I'm on my last slide. After this is just question and answers.
Yeah, okay. We lost you for a bit.
I know. I had to come back.
All right, cool.
Okay. So finally, I mean, like I said, I've been in marketing, and one of the things we talk about in marketing is they need to migrate from 4Ps to 4Es. And I mean, all of these concepts are interesting. Marketing people like Wale and myself, we argue. I mean, we have a group where every time we argue about all of these interesting concepts. My people, forget the concept, but let me just share some of the underlying principles behind it. Okay. Most of us, when we went to school, when we went to the university or any of our professional schools, they taught us about the 4Ps of the marketing mix. The ones I showed before, let me just go back. This is it. They taught us this in school. Okay. And for entrepreneurs, you need to understand the 4Ps. Well, let me just go to the 4Es. The 4Es says that if you really want to have a business that thrives, if you want to have a business that grows, if you want to have a business that thrives even in very testing and difficult circumstances, then you need to move from 4Ps to 4Es. So instead of selling product, you need to move into experience. Don't sell product. Anybody can sell the same product that you are selling. Move into selling experience. Experiences can be unique. Products can be. I mean, anybody can copy your product. What they can copy very well is your experience, because the experience is linked to you. Stop selling products, start selling experience. Okay? The second one is price. Don't just be focused on pricing. Think about exchange. How exactly should I exchange value? At times, there are some services you offer, you don't need them to pay for it. There are some services that you offer, you don't need them to even pay for it. You just need them to pay for it by buying another service and paying for the other. So stop thinking about price, start thinking about exchange. The third one, stop thinking about promotion, start thinking about evangelism. So you see, so many companies are no longer thinking about advertising, they're thinking about using experience. We call it brand advocation, brand advocate, to sell. I can't remember his name now. It just escaped me. What? Elon Musk. God bless you. We're talking about how the guy hates advertisement and he uses this evangelistic approach to promote his business. And the last one is stop thinking about a particular place. Stop thinking about selling your stuff in just one place. Everywhere is your store. Use online, use offline, use channel, multiple channels. Make sure that your services and products are available multiple channels so that you have no restrictions to growth. That exactly is how you grow. I'm sorry, I've tried to compress a lot of ideas into that short a time by my own reckoning, but I hope you've learned enough to ask some interesting questions so that we can have a healthy conversation. Thank you, everybody,
Thank you very
letting me run through that.
Thank you very much, Larry, for sharing with us tonight. I think that was amazing. And it's been, and the comments are coming in. Thank you very much. Thank you. Awesome. So